So do you find that maybe you go into bed, you're desperate for sleep, and suddenly you get a panic attack? Or that you go to sleep and then you wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, really scary feeling, you find it disrupts your sleep and it just feels really, really horrible. So what I'm going to do today is talk about why these happen and what you can do to help yourself. So a lot of people get panic attacks, anxiety attacks during the day, and the ones at night are practically identical. They're very, very similar. So the things that you can get would be sudden rapid heartbeat or palpitations, or your heart really starts to thump. You can feel it really, really loudly. You might start to get shortness of breath, so you start to almost pant. Or you might find that you're having problems actually catching your breath. You might find that you start to tremble, you get the shakes, you might suddenly get really cold, you get a sudden chill, and you can feel this intense fear or panic that can literally stop you in your tracks. So again, a lot of those that have these symptoms during the day will also suffer with them during the night. So the main causes here is your falling estrogen. This can affect your nervous system. So your nervous system ends up going into flight or fight. So the slightest little thing is going to set this flight or fight mechanism off, and that will cause symptoms that are practically identical to the ones that I just mentioned, that heartbeat, palpitation, shortness of breath, etc. It can also be that, we're really busy during the day. The changing hormones put an awful lot of stress on our body anyway. And if we're also getting stressed during the day, if we're getting anxious during the day, then that stress and anxiety builds up and builds up. And then when you go to bed, your nervous system just goes, I've had enough, and it literally lets go of everything. And that's when you get your panic attack. You might find that you get the panic attacks after hot flushes or night sweats. That it can be, again, it's all due to things like adrenaline and the nervous system being called into play here. It can be low blood sugar levels during the night. If you think about it, if you have your main meal maybe about 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, if you don't have anything else to eat, by the middle of the night, sort of 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, your blood sugar levels are going to be very, very low. And at that point, that will set your nervous system and create a panic attack. And the really interesting thing is here, when a panic attack happens, you don't notice the hunger. So there you are in the middle of the night, your blood sugar levels are terribly low. You've got this sudden panic attack, but you don't realize that it's actually hunger that's doing this. And then, of course, you try to get back off to sleep with really low blood sugar levels, and you can't, because this panic just goes on and on. It could be to do with dehydration. If you haven't been drinking a lot during the day, if you're drinking the wrong things at night, then again, really being dehydrated in the middle of the night will set off a panic attack. It can be the usual suspects. So that could be your caffeine at night, your alcohol consumption. It can be literally anything that starts to rev up your nervous system. So it's not just these things. It could be that you had a really spicy meal. It could be that you had a high salt and sugar snack. Even a bag of crisps or a chocolate biscuit in the evening can be enough to rev your nervous system up. And also what you're watching. Do you enjoy scary movies, crime programs, anything that draws you in and creates that sense of panic or anxiety? Reading scary books as well. All of these things can rev up your nervous system to the point where it will ping in the middle of the night. So what can you do to help yourself here? Really important thing, one of the easiest things as well, is the deep breathing. And I recently posted a vlog on how important breathing well is and little tips to help you. So the deep breathing during the day, just for maybe a minute or two at a time, whenever you've got a minute to spare, basically, you get into the habit. If you're in a state of panic, you breathe very shallowly, and that keeps the panic cycle going. So if you learn to do the slow, deep breathing, it switches that vicious cycle off. So the more you can practice the deep breathing, the easier you can click into it, and that can make a huge amount of difference. Have a calming bedside routine. Remember, not the scary movies. Maybe have some really nice meditation music just before you go to bed, or where you're in bed as well. I actually find I have my Alexa in my bedroom, not near my bed. You don't want these things too close. And very often when I go to bed, I'll just ask for meditation music for an hour. And the great thing is it then switches itself off. So you're not waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning with your CD player still going round and round. And I find that really calms me down and gives me a good night's sleep. Remember to have that snack. So we're looking at a healthy snack, not a sugary, high salt or spicy one. So it can be things like your oat cake and cheese, that little bit of avocado and cream cheese, some Greek yogurt and some nuts and seeds, something that's going to stabilize your blood sugars and keep everything calm. For those of you with a really sweet tooth, just a couple of the really big medjool dates, not the normal ones, but a couple of the really big ones. They're lovely and sweet, but they contain lots of good fiber and things like magnesium in them, which again stabilize your blood sugars and help you get back to sleep. Loads of water during the day. Keep yourself really well hydrated, and have just a little shot glass of warm water before you go to bed. A lot of you keep asking, why does it have to be warm water? If you take cold water just before you go into bed, it's going to shock your digestive system, and that's going to keep you awake. So warm water is just going to help to calm everything down too. Avoid your caffeine and your alcohol at night. And again, what will happen with the alcohol is, yes, it can certainly get you off to sleep really quickly, but the chemical components of the alcohol really sedates your brain, and the brain at some point will panic about that. It's almost as if you're in too much of a deep sleep. So that point of panic can wake you up with a panic attack. It can also produce chemicals that will keep you awake for about 3 hours at a time. So alcohol is not a good one for helping with sleep at all. Have magnesium supplement with your evening meal. Look at calming herbs such as valerian and hops, or passion flower, because they help to just calm your nervous system down, to help you to sleep better. And just, when you get into bed as well, it can be really helpful just to a minute or two of the really slow, deep breathing to get yourself nice and settled. If you find that you do wake up during the night, and the problem with a panic attack is that it can really wake you up, your mind's going, and you can't just get back to sleep really quickly. So the best thing to do here is maybe get up, have a warming drink. Again, not tea or coffee, but there's a lovely tea called Tulsi tea, which is very, very calming. And I find that a good one if I happen to wake up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. It's warming, it's relaxing. Maybe just read something very calming, or listen to a little bit of music before you get back into bed. And very often that can just settle you rather than you trying to toss and turn getting back to sleep. Acupuncture can very often be really helpful for this, or acupressure or reflexology. These can all help to calm and sort of reset your nervous system. If, however, you find that these panic attacks are really causing issues, if they're getting really, really scary, if they're stopping you from doing things during the day, if you're getting them every single night and you're really not resting, then that's the point where you may need to speak to your doctor. you might just need something a little bit stronger than the herbs just to get you through this particular phase. So I hope you enjoyed this one and found it helpful. Again, it's another one of these common ones that seems to be becoming more and more common. So if any of you experienced any of these, what did you do to help yourself? Please share. You know, as always, I love to read your stories. And until then, have a lovely week and I'll see you next time.